got a problem, PC problem, a techno problem, talk to the man who got the plan, he gon' solve them. Blocking them hackers, all that hacking, it ain't gon' happen. Everything tech, he's taking it to the next level. Shout out to the grill man Ted, T-Spec Encrypted Qos. Shout out to the Purple Sea, Ventus and all my bros. Started from the bottom with them, all we do is grow, grow, grow. If you hit the like and subscribe, you could be the next tech pro. Do you know the legend? Do you know the man? Nico the legend, that's who I am. They call me the legend, they call me the man. Nico the legend, that's who I am. If you got a problem, PC problem, a techno problem, talk to the man who got the plan, he gon' solve them. Blocking them hackers, all that hacking, it ain't gon' happen. Everything tech, he's taking it to the next level. Shout out to the grill man Ted, T-Spec Encrypted Qos. Shout out to the Purple Sea, Ventus and all my bros. Started from the bottom with them, all we do is grow, grow, grow. If you hit the like and subscribe, you could be the next tech pro. Do you know the legend? Do you know the man? Nico the legend, that's who I am. They call me the legend, they call me the man. Nico the legend, that's who I am. Cybersecurity always on the chase. The enemy always looking for a taste, but you know that we gon' put them in their place. The internet's a funny space. Mind your business while you go about your day. Before you know it, you a hack scam case, and all you had is gone without a single trace. Now you need help and no one hears your cry that all big tech companies provide. They tell you pay more for defense to hide, but you don't know that the enemy's inside. It's a cold world, no one to confide in unless you find help from a selfless guide. Better than a bad man, strong as tide. You in the right place at the right time. Wolves in sheepskin, working midnight shift, but don't worry, we won't let them in. Wolves in sheepskin, working midnight shift, but don't worry, no, we won't let them in. Computing is a race, cybersecurity always on the chase. The enemy always looking for a taste, but you know that we gon' put them in their place. The internet's a funny space. Mind your business while you go about your day. Before you know it, you a hack scam case, and all you had is gone without a single trace. Now you need help and no one hears your cry that all big tech companies provide. They tell you pay more for defense to hide, but you don't know that the enemy's inside. It's a cold world, no one to confide in unless you find help. Nico knows tech, all your tech tips and reviews on deck. Nico knows tech, #1 channel with the news on check.
All right. Welcome to the stream. I am, of course, Nico. I'm particularly excited to have this live stream. A lot of you guys have been requesting that I show you how I set up my machine for max performance, max security. In fact, a lot of my patrons have been contacting me saying, dude, I got a new computer. Can you set this one up too? And I realized that I didn't really have a video dedicated to both security and gaming as far as configuring. I gave you some tips and tools, but I'm happy to show you how I get set up. We got about 9 viewers so far. Tell your friends, this is going to be a good one. I'm going to go ahead and dig right in. I am currently setting up this laptop over here. It's an Asus Zephyrus G14, and I do some light gaming on it and some creative work, and I'm really retentive about making them all very secure and high performance, and I hate bloat. So getting right into it, I'm also going to go over some of the must-have apps that I put on every machine that help me get all this done. The first thing I'm going to get is BC Uninstaller, or Bulk Crap Uninstaller, and everything that we talk about today is going to be in description. So I'm going to go ahead and download this off of FossHub, and we'll get the portable. If you're going to, you might want to put the regular on there. The portable just means you can move it to another machine. It won't be in add and remove programs, but they both operate the same way. And okay, we need to get 7-zip. Let's start this over real quick. We're going to go straight to ninite.com. This is going to create a custom app. A lot of you guys probably know about this. This is going to let you create a custom installer for all of the apps that you want on the machine when you first start. This is really good when you first start a machine because it doesn't have anything on it. It all it has is Edge. So open up Edge and then pick what you want. You can pick Firefox. We already have Firefox on there. If you do any 3D modeling, Blender. If you guys don't know, a ton of fan-made games, major projects like Skywind, which is Morrowind using the Skyrim engine, these guys are using Blender. Usually on Linux, but it works on Windows too. Google Earth, Envy. I do want Python. FileZilla for FTP. I want Notepad++. Notepad++ is a better notepad, which I'll show you. Instead of it just being blank there, it'll have lines for you to analyze code, and it just has the formatting there. So when you are opening an info file, particularly good. Joni, no, I am not. I keep my live streams up unless I regret them. Or if I get some kind of copyright hit, which I don't because I use my own tracks. Even though I have to fight with my distributor every time because I have content ID lock on a couple of the tracks. We want Discord. We don't want Zoom Thunderbird if you're using that. I want VLC, Audacity, even though there's some privacy issues, Spotify to listen to my tracks, Handbrake. If you guys don't know about Handbrake, this is extremely useful in audio, video editing, because you can take whatever video file you want or even music file and just convert it to whatever format you want. You don't have to lose quality. You don't have to throw it into an editor. So if you need an MPEG-4 and it's an AVI or it's some kind of weird codec, and then you can hard code subtitles and all kinds of stuff. It's super lightweight. Qubit torrent, because I have an iPad. Can't talk about that too much. We're not going to use Revo, which is another uninstaller. We're going to use a little bit better one. Putty is pretty good for SSHing into other servers, but I'm not going to do it on that one. We want 7-zip. 7-zip is a free archiver, kind of like WinRAR, but way better and doesn't want you to get a trial and doesn't have privacy issues. And we're going to talk about a different antivirus, so I don't need these, but you can get your free antivirus programs. And I do want Net 4.8, but you could get that. I don't want these runtimes, but if you're using, if you're running a Minecraft server, you probably want those runtimes. This is kind of cool. Glary's here. Then after you're done, get your Night, and it's going to download a customized installer of everything that you selected there. So instead of going to all of these different websites, hey Mark, how you doing, buddy? Glad to see you there. Okay, did we just install it? Okay, so we downloaded our Night, and it has all of the programs that we selected. And okay, this is very, very stock, so obviously Defender is going apeshit about everything, but we're going to get to that. It's installing Python, it's installing everything. If you guys aren't into Python, that a lot of people ask me, hey, do you code? Yes. Or what should I do to get into code? And if you go to college, Most of them are going to get you started on C, which is great for desktop apps, but you'll make a lot more money going with Python. You can make your own browser with Python. It's just a lot more streamlined. You can do some amazing automation with Python, and it's cross-platform. So if I was to tell somebody going into coding, Python is the way to go. Everybody needs to get on Python, and you don't have to speak a third language of computers to use Python. Okay, so while that's working, my router is making noise. Okay. And I made a video on O&O Setup 10, so I won't spend a whole lot on it, but you can check it on my channel, but I am going to apply that, and I'll go through the fast version of this. O&O Setup 10, if you don't know, is a privacy application which automates a lot of what would be dozens and dozens of registry entries and group policy entries, and if you don't have Pro Edition, some of these you can't even do. So this is very powerful. And this controls all the privacy issues of Windows, and you can even force some stuff. For example, if you're trying to get around certain activation of a certain large company that produces an operating system, this will literally block the connection. What's up, dude? Thanks for the sub. Whenever you change something, it's asked for a restore point, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. Restore points are great. I create one regularly. I mean, whenever I make a change, especially because this is like backing up your files. It's not as great, but because malware can still get to it. Okay, so I'm going to quickly just go into apply only recommended settings, and it's going to do everything that blocks privacy without breaking anything, and not breaking permanently, but making it to where it blocks everything that's kind of atrocious, but without making something not work. 500 megabits and something. Okay, let me go through the stream on Twitch. But when I stream, internet says it's 2 weeks. Stream using 5G. Okay, great question about Twitch and bitrate and speed. Your internet provider, all of them, if they're smart, they do what's called throttling. So when you start online gaming or doing anything intensive, they're going to lower your internet speed. The way to get around this is to use a VPN. A free VPN is not that great because they're slow and they're not reliable and they sell your data. But there's good deals on VPNs. I'm an affiliate of Nordvpn, and I use Nordvpn all the time, and I'm on it right now. And I'll do a quick speed test. Let's see, here we go. So I'm on a VPN, and I'll go ahead and do a speed test. Because when you use a VPN, your internet provider can't tell what you're doing, so they don't know to throttle you. So they're going to leave your speed at the max because you streaming online, downloading huge files looks the same as if you're sending a tweet. So they can't see it, so the automated system can't lower your internet speed. I have a 250 megabit connection, and I'm streaming online, and my wife's watching 4K. Then I still have 200 megabits. My internet provider can't see what I'm doing, so they don't know to throttle you. Now, whenever you do a speed test, your internet company can say, oh, that's a speed test, crank it back up. But you should try this while you're gaming, tab out, and then or streaming, and then do a speed test, and you'll see they've locked you down to maybe 20 megabits, depending on what your communication is. If you're in a 500 megabit connection, don't be surprised you were down to 15 while you're streaming. Great question. How to boost FPS? Saeem, sorry. How to boost your FPS on your PC if you want to play high games? Tell me best apps. I'm going to help you out with that. That's one of the things we're going to do in this stream. Bro, can we get it? You stop spamming now? Oh, that guy. No, he's just really excited. Oh yeah, you did spam. Yeah, once, dude. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Okay. Yes, Saeem, I'm gonna get to that. Be patient. That's one of the main focuses of the stream. Okay, so that will help that. There is a link in description to get, I think the deal is like 72% off, 73% off if you use my link to get Nordvpn. And they're amazing. And they don't have logs, they don't cooperate with government. So if you're in a if you're in a country where you have a government that blocks your access to things, or if you're doing something your government or authorities wouldn't agree with, you're not supposed to do anything, negative there, but they don't keep logs. And they are based in Panama, and which means they can't be touched by the Five Eyes, which is the governments that share information to put pressure on people to bring them to justice. Hey, Plum Paste. If you don't know Plum Paste, she is a small streamer who's up and coming and does some very creative Elder Scrolls content. She's also starting up her YouTube, where she's going to do some really, if you're into history or science and you want to kind of see that into an adventure using the Elder Scrolls universe, check it out. That is Twitch TV, Plum Paste. Check it out. Okay. Software is like Driver Booster. I'm not a fan of driver software. Driver software, for every one that's real, even the real ones aren't great. You're trusting a third party to auto scan your machine and dump drivers onto you, which can brick your machine if they get it wrong. Go to your manufacturer for drivers. Look up the model number of if you have a pre-built machine, if it's HP, Dell, whatever, go to them, put in your model number, and get the stuff from your manufacturer. Driver managers, most of them are infections. If the least, they're adware. Even if they're legit, they're not doing it for free. They're not just so happy to give you drivers. Yes, on Virtue G4S Gamer. Can you tell me how to block or stop apps have high performance on games? In O&O Shutup 10, let me pull it up. Under apps, app privacy, this stops a lot of things from running in the background. So a lot of these you can control exactly what they do. Now, apps that are automatically running, not a whole lot you can do about that other than to uninstall them. However, check this out. Right click on your task manager, on your taskbar, and then click Task Manager. And then Startup. Everything installed in your machine, every app wants to run at startup, nearly all of them. If they're not for a device or something you want automatically running, like I do have Nordvpn auto connecting every time I use machine because I'm always VPN'd. I don't want to get doxxed or DDoSed or attacked, and I'm a big target for attack. So, and I online game. If you online game, someone's going to try to dox or DDoS you. Anything related to hardware I use, your antivirus, you'll have that running. But I don't need Steam, Logitech, Spotify, Apple, Adobe. You don't need that running at the boot up. And every time you start your machine, this stuff's going to run in the background. And even if you just want a game, so you'll often see some savvy users, they're often going into processes and killing processes every time they turn on the machine because they're seeing all the usage so high. Just don't have it start up to begin with. Now we're about to get to debloating your machine without using a debloater, like customizing your debloat really, really easily. And this is something you can do all the time. Also, how to remove stuff that doesn't want to be removed, like Mcafee is notorious. Okay. I think I lost my chat. Where are you? There we are. Okay. I'm going to look at chat a little bit, then I'm going to get to the next thing, and then I'll come back to chat. Can you limit the battery charge to 6%? Yes, you can. But that is usually dependent upon your manufacturer's software. Particularly on laptops, they will usually include a battery application. If they don't, then you can't. And I'm not a fan of third-party software for manufacturer control. Is Windows 11 safe today? It is safe. It is not as stable as Windows 10, but it's getting the same security updates as 10 at the moment. And there aren't any real usable exploits that work on it enough. Okay. Symbol said, hey, do you know a solution to permanently disabling Microsoft content? Microsoft content, that's very broad. That would literally be everything. To disabling telemetry. Telemetry will come back after an update if you're just setting it in the registry. So what I do is I block all the telemetry servers in my Pi-hole, which is my private DNS running on a Raspberry Pi. You can firewall block them, which I'll get to firewall shortly. And then you can block them in your host file. Your host file, you open up Notepad. As administrator, so Control left shift and then enter. And then you'll navigate to local disk C, Windows, and then System 32, drivers, etc. Change this to all files. And then this is your host file. Now everything here below these hash marks are what's blocked. And you can literally Google telemetry servers, Microsoft telemetry server list, and here we go. Ugh. Let me get them. Here we go. It's one of these. Okay, they want me to download the PDF. But you can get the server list. It's on docs.microsoft. That's funny. Okay. Thanks for the sub. There's a Word doc here. Here we go. It's on GitHub. Here we go. Okay, these are the most common. There are more than this, but this will stop large of it. It'll break the telemetry process. And then what you'll do is just add them there. Everything listed here, and then you want to divert to 127.0.0.1, which means local. So we'll just Control C to copy, and then bada bing. Whoops, let me add a space after. So everything diverted to 12.0.0.1 is going to be blocked essentially. So your host file should look like this if you want to block all telemetry. This will generate an alert in Windows Defender. Microsoft doesn't like when you do this, so they're going to generate an alert. If you can see the video in my called host file hijack, they're going to say that your host file has been hijacked, and you'll have to ignore that alert. But it's a false positive. It just means, hey, they know you're blocking telemetry and they're not happy about it. Then click save, and you're done. That's telemetry blocked permanently. Even if it gets re-enabled in Windows settings, it can't communicate to the server. Okay. We're going to get to more performance in a second. Alienware doesn't let you lock or stop battery charging 80%, so is there software which could help? I'll look into that. I mean, I'm not really a fan of third-party software to control hardware, like I said, but I'll look for one that's maybe trustworthy. Let's see. Hi chat, I would like to upgrade my motherboard and processor between i7, i9-11-900K. That is a top tier processor. I mean, for Intel's kind of taking a back seat, but wow. I mean, I think you could do better with a Ryzen 5 or Ryzen 9 because of a better value. But if you have the money to drop on that processor, that's probably one of the better processors you can get. Okay, so after you've done actions, I apply only recommended settings, you can go to apply recommended and somewhat recommended, but some things won't work, but it's not stuff that's important. Okay, and moving forward, we'll close Night. And then next tool, bulk crap uninstaller. We already downloaded this, but I didn't have 7-zip installed. Did I? Here it is. Okay, now that I have that, we'll extract this. Go to downloads. What the hell? Downloads. Did I? Where'd you go? Extract it to desktop. Make a folder. BC Uninstaller. This is great, guys. This is an IT tool, but I'm going to show you how to use this so you don't have to worry about anything. It's not hard. It's just if no one guides you through it, it can be a bit unnerving. Quick tip: you see this little thing down here, this little bar? This is actually a shortcut to show your desktop. So if you don't want to do Win key plus D, okay, BC Uninstaller. We'll just open this. Now, if you have programs that don't want to be removed, like Mcafee that comes with a lot of machines, or you installed something and the uninstaller just doesn't work right, Virtua, we're about to do that. we are going to cover everything. You're not going to feel left out here. Just go through this. Don't change anything during the setup, and then finish setup. If you're in IT, then you probably already know about this, so you don't need my help, and you'll know how to do that. Okay, so now we can go through, and we can select using checkboxes. I like to do this because I can select multiple things and install at the same time. Now I can go through, and everything I don't want to have running or uninstalled, this web view. I'm going to take out the mixed reality portal because I don't know anybody that, I've never even opened it. If you don't play any Windows games, you can uninstall the Xbox app. Don't uninstall Edge. I know there's clickbait videos on uninstalling Edge, and I can show you how to do it, and it works, but it causes stability issues. We're going to get rid of Paint 3D. We're going to get rid of the Spotify that came with Windows. We're going to leave calculator, and so you can do that. Now we show this. And if you wanted to risk breaking Windows, you can show the protected stuff, and you can remove physical modules from Windows. If you want to get custom like that and take some risks and see what works and what doesn't, go for it. We're going to remove OneNote because that came with the machine. Snip and Sketch will leave. Okay, so, and then if you had Mcafee on here, I've done a light debloat earlier, you could select that here. We're going to leave that. Okay, now we can uninstall. Uninstall quietly means it's going to auto click OK to everything. So if you were pretty sure it was going to work anyway, without unattended access, like let's assume you were going to uninstall everything on 5 machines, and you can just uninstall quietly, go to your next machine. So like I said, that's an IT function. We do a lot of automation. Okay, so these are what we're going to remove. We're going to remove Mixed Reality Portal, Paint 3D, OneNote, and Spotify Music. Now we're going to click Continue, and we'll leave this, and then begin uninstallation. It's going to create a restore point in case something gets broken. All right, well, that's working. Okay, let me catch up on chat. Boost FPS, Saeem, for the 3rd time. Yes, I'm going to get to that. It also does remove Alienware program. Yeah, Shabam Garat is right. Tron Script runs an automated debloater, which will remove Windows Store apps. And most of your preloaded, it's not always bloatware, like Armory Crate is not bloatware for most people. So you may have to come into the Windows Store and reinstall it. The reason is your stuff will get caught into the junkware with Candy Crush, the Skype app, and all of the junkware that you find here. All of this stuff, and yours will probably be much bigger. So it uninstalls everything at once, but you don't lose it. It's not like it deleted the DVD. But the most important thing about Tron Script is that it repairs Windows and it removes malware. So it's not intended for everybody to use, like, oh wow, I wonder if my machine needs a tune-up, let's run Tron Script. It's kind of extreme. Okay. So now these are all done, and we can close. And now here we're going to look for leftovers. For those of you guys that love registry tweaks, there were no leftovers around. But at the next phase, it would normally take you to where you want to delete registry keys, and it'll tell you the confidence level. If it says great, good, you can safely delete those keys. If it says medium, don't delete those keys. You'll probably make some kind of stability issue. That is BC Uninstaller. This is great for keeping on your machine whenever you uninstall everything. If you guys have used Revo Uninstaller, this one's better. Revo Uninstaller can break things, so I'm not a fan of it. Okay, let me pull up my list. Okay, next thing, someone mentioned about FPS. One of the 2 things that I like to do, other than the debloat, which is a lot, and all of the things we're doing are great for performance, is quick CPU, which I'll put in the description. And this is featured in my video, Unlock All Your, Wake Up Your CPU Cores. And we're just going to go quickly through this because since I have video content on this, You guys can go there and watch the detailed stuff, but I'm going to go through it. I'm going to get the 64-bit. And we're going to open this. I'm just going to run that setup. Okay. Mr. Minder, I'm about to get to that next. Okay. Now, the first thing I like to do is I like to set up a great power plan. So I'm already on high performance, so it's not parking these cores on this one. Why am I zoomed out? Okay. All right. So my core parking frequency, these sometimes will be like here. And if you have good thermals and your laptop isn't heating up too much, this is basically a better version of high performance. Thanks for the sub. Turbo Boost. This is going to try to keep your machine at, this is my real-time frequency here. It's going to try to keep it at the base frequency. Turbo Boost is going to make it try and go up to its maximum frequency as much as possible. And then you can click apply. But what I like to do is I like to click this over here, maximum performance. This is going to do everything here, and then it's also going to create a power plan. If I go down here to power options, it's create a quick CPU scheme. And then you can go change here. Now, one thing that you can't do here, processor power management. Now here is, I'm going to set this to disabled. Now you won't have this, but I'm going to teach you how to enable the processor performance boost mode in your power settings. I must have already done this because it doesn't come on Windows. You're going to open up regedit. Now, a disclaimer. Not everybody should do this. If you're on a laptop with like built-in GPUs, you can overheat. But this is also something you should do if your laptop came stock with a heating problem, because you can come in and disable this feature by first enabling this option in your power options. Now where you're going to go, HK local machine, system, we'll go through it. So this, everybody should know this one. System, control, current control set, control, and then down, then to power settings, and you can pause any part here later on, and then to 545-33251. The rest of the numbers don't matter because none of them are going to start with this. And then we're going to look down to BE 337-238. This is an advanced lesson. By default, yours is going to be right here at 1. All machines come with this at 1. You're going to add this to a 2, and you've just modified Windows to enable this feature, processor performance boost mode. Now, if you are having thermal issues, disable this. Your processor will actually perform better if it's cooler. So your processor, if it has a max speed of 4.6 gigahertz, you'll still hit 4.6 gigahertz with it disabled. However, if your system likes to go to sleep a lot, you can enable this. I don't like aggressive. Aggressive is going to make it constantly thermal throttle. You can go through efficient enabled or enabled and see which one works for you. Now, one disclaimer, very important. If you enable this in the registry, all power options will have processor performance boost node enabled to aggressive. So anytime you create a power plan or you switch power plans, or if it automatically changes on you, make sure that you change this, because if we go into balanced here, that is already enabled by default, and you got to make sure that this is disabled. I have disabled it earlier because on this laptop has thermal issues. It likes to run at 100 degrees Celsius, and I have to disable boost mode, and then I get maximum performance out of my laptop. So that's a pro tip for you. And like all pro tips, with great power comes great responsibility. So make sure you change all of your power settings to have that at the setting you want. Okay. Now moving forward, the next thing was checking your hard disk or your drive. This one is not going to be an extreme test. This is going to test, is it failing? Is it dying? Is the condition kind of wearing out? It's not going to do extensive tests. There's a different app for that. But this is called Crystal Disk Info, and you can check that in description. It is a free app. Don't let anybody tell you it's free, because it does try to sell it to you. But we're going to download the installer here. There's different versions. They're just different themes, different skins. Some of them are anime based. What the heck? Okay. Okay, accept. There we go. We'll save this file. This is a stupid simple program. Crystal Disk Info. And whenever I'm seeing somebody that has their mouse freeze or their machine constantly reboots, I'm usually like, if they already, don't have malware, I'm like, go check your hard drive or your SSD. We're gonna launch Crystal Disk Info, and right here it's looking at my SSD, looking at the condition, which is good. Here is where this is where you'll set custom things. You don't need to mess with that. That's if you want to set alerts. My temperature, and here is where we will find different hours. Let's see what's going on. Why is it not showing me anything? Okay, it got no information on it yet. It's got my total reads and my total writes. Now the total writes is what's important for an SSD. Dead sectors is not a common thing to happen. It's not something you normally look at for an SSD. You want to look for the number of writes. So let's look up SSD 970 Evo Plus. Not sure that's a 1 TB. Maximum. Can't type. So these things will all have a rating of how many writes they can take. Okay. Let's look up Samsung. Samsung is usually accurate about this. Okay. 120 terabytes of writing. How many writes is that? Math. Somebody who knows math. Let's go back in Crystal Disk Info. Okay, so we have 1270 gigabytes of writes, and we have 1200 terabytes of writes for this drive. When I reach the maximum amount of writes, then certain cells are going to stop working. You extend this by not having your drive more than 75% full, because the way SSD works is it's going to redistribute all of the writes evenly across the drive. If it's all full, then it's only going to redistribute over a smaller amount of space, and then you're going to have the same writes over the same cells over and over again, decreasing the life of your SSD. If you have like a 250 gig SSD and it's 80% full and you're gaming on it, expect it to last about 6 months. If you have whatever size SSD and it's 75% full and no more than that, and you're gaming on it, it could last you longer than your machine's going to last. So that's kind of the thing, is it has to redistribute the writes. Okay, let's check chat. Okay, let me scroll up a little bit. Great, Mr. Minder. I'm getting to your question next. Hides temp files, Windows 10, my PC. Temp files is never a problem. Ash FN, well, I mentioned throttle stop. Not really. I don't believe that it works. I mean, it obfuscates some of your data, but VPN is a higher performance option. Okay. I mouse the most time shooting alone. I don't touch anything, keep shooting them, and after 10 seconds, stops with a pain. Okay. Harshit Parmar says, in a recent attack in my office, Norton was not able to detect stop dash deja vu extension locally, even not in virus total. However, Avast did perfectly and cleansed the system 100%. That would be because Avast is a heuristic-based scanner, which means it doesn't look for the exact signature. If I have a piece of malware now and I change a few lines of code, it's a new signature, so no one detects it. However, Malwarebytes and ESET and Kaspersky would detect it. Norton is almost exclusively a signature-based scanner, which means it has billions of definitions of identified threats. But a company like yours would be attacked with a direct attack. So if I want to attack your company, I'm not going to just go download one off of Darknet and just give you the same, signature that's been out there before. If I want to target a company, I'm going to change the signature so that you haven't seen it before. But yeah, since Avast is a free antivirus for the most part, you can't rely on them to have definitions, because if I discover a new strain of malware, I'm going to submit it, the signature, but you have to pay for it. So the paid antivirus companies will pay for it, and I get paid. Defender and all free antivirus companies will get it 30 days later when it goes open source. Great question. The SM80, I assume that since it's a 4-letter, it's a strain of ransomware. I don't keep a whole lot of tabs on the different strains of ransomware because they're mostly the same, but the digits or the letters after is mostly linked to what key it goes to. So it's mostly like it's an online key, offline key, so that, I mean, if it has a certain number of a certain key, then the ransomware owner will have will know which key that goes to. Okay. Now we're going to okay, antivirus. The one that I am recommending and I'm affiliated with right now is Kaspersky. I also use ESET. However, Kaspersky is better at ransomware protection. Even their lowest version is surprisingly good. But I like the internet security. The difference between the antivirus and the internet security of most security suites is the internet security will have a firewall. Now, if we go into firewall, let's go ahead. Windows firewall is okay, but what I don't like about it is that it has dozens and hundreds of rules. So a firewall, in my opinion, should say, if I'm not soliciting you, you can't get in. So for example, if I'm not reaching out to CNN.com, don't send me CNN.com's website. That would be unsolicited. Now, if I do hit CNN.com in my browser, like so, when I hit CNN.com, then you're supposed to send me the website. I solicited it. But if this is getting sent to me or any kind of communication without me soliciting, that should be dropped by our firewall. But instead, these are all different conditions of, well, this can come into this case, and this one can come into this circumstance, and this can if this program says that, and it's just, why? Just say solicited no and unsolicited yes. I mean, but this is the way it works. As you can see, I have telemetry blocked here. But I'll get to firewall rules at the end because that's the most boring, but it is important. Okay, so under Kaspersky Internet Security, which you can use my affiliate link in description, there's higher levels of it, and they'll have extra features, which is what separates paid antivirus from like free. And there's a password manager. I'm using NordPass, which you can also get. Gosh, I'm not going to do a commercial today. Participating in Kaspersky Security Network. As a malware researcher, I'm not. You might as well leave that on. It basically means if you find a new detection, you're going to submit it to Kaspersky so that they can add it as a signature for further protection, which is good for the community, good for you. But for me, that costs me money since I make money off discovering these things. So I keep my definitions and sell them. Okay, while that's installing, I'll check chat. There is a free version of Kaspersky. I believe it's Cloud Security. And what that will have is it's going to have the definitions that are known with 30-day delay on signatures. Pretty good protection. Ransomware protection is okay. It won't stop hackers or DDoS or network attacks and things like that. And it won't have like 0-day protection, but it's still pretty good. I would recommend Kaspersky's free edition over Defender if you can't afford to get the paid version. Okay. I used Avast Premium version. These all happened after getting infected. Stop JJVU was detected and blocked by Windows Defender. 15 to 20 seconds for the action and damage was done 40%. Yeah, when ransomware hits, oftentimes, I mean, they're very noisy. I mean, as far as computer language goes. So oftentimes Defender will say, hey, wait a minute, you shouldn't be doing that. And it detects it as some kind of threat. The speed of your security is what matters in a ransomware attack. Can it stop it before it happens? Paid versions of Kaspersky are so good at ransomware that they will roll back. Like they'll say, whoa, you encrypted all my stuff. Let's put that all back, because it'll remember how your files were before. So no matter how bad it gets, whoa, that was ransomware. Let's put all your files back to the way they were, and let's get rid of this infection. So that's how advanced Kaspersky Internet Security and the paid versions are, is that even if it does get through, you can go back. It's kind of like having a constant backup. We're not going to take it to tour. Okay. This will detect other software that can be used by criminals, damage your computer and personal data. That's going to be pups. Malicious tools, adware, auto dialers. This will detect things like Great Discovery, which is like a crypto miner. But you want to delete this if you are a miner, because it's going to be deleting your crypto miner stuff. Disable ads. This is privacy related, which is great. Okay. So now we're protected by internet security. And there we go. And it's a super simple interface. That's another reason. I like 2 antivirus companies, and this is one of them. And database update, my Kaspersky, that'll take you to your account. But yeah, privacy protection. And then you don't have to know how to do anything. You don't have to mess with it. Now, under more tools, you can go to My Network, Network Monitor. And this is how you can start checking if you have any compromised IoT or smart devices on your device. Kaspersky can detect if some webcam or Amazon device or something on your network is communicating maliciously out. Kaspersky actually detected that there was malware on my Samsung TV. So that's what happens when you let kids play games on your TV. Okay. What's a virus? I got a GPU miner, want to delete it. I click open file and it didn't open. Yeah, usually when you download some executable and you double click on it and it flickers and then nothing happens, it's usually an infection. Okay, I do have a strong urge to install it, but I don't want to break my laptop now. Well, Windows 11 is the full version's coming out soon, and if you have a legitimate key, you get a free upgrade. So I mean, as you can see, I'm still on Windows 10. While I would love to get all of that YouTube money by making Windows 11 content, I'm not fully satisfied with the stability, and my channel revolves around security and stability and performance, and I'm not going to embarrass myself with downtime because of some Windows 11 glitch. Okay. How to fix that anyway? I'm kind of IT. Oh, that's cool, Mr. Minder. Norton's enterprise products are okay. I mean, I'm not a fan of Norton right now, but kind of like Mcafee. I mean, the U.S. government, I mean, the Department of Defense, they use Mcafee. But what's different about those companies is, from the companies I work with, is Mcafee's enterprise product are in another league where millions upon millions of dollars go into development of that. And then there's the consumer products that you get for $30. I'm like, well, here's antivirus and here's this basic thing. And for example, like Bitdefender, I don't want to get in trouble with a potential sponsor, but PC Security Channel, I'll throw them under the bus. They were testing Bitdefender on ransomware, and it said, oh, we protect you from ransomware. We fix your files, but they were still encrypted. So some of the consumer products out there say they work and say they do all these cool things, but don't actually do anything. Most important reason I follow your channel like a religion is because you are genuine and knowledgeable when it comes to anything relating to people. Well, thanks, man. I mean, I try. I think I'm making my own. I'm not trying to get my info stolen. I'm researching Linux for frequent backups. The attack took a week of work, and I already had to site backup for Linux. Some guidelines on patching. On patching Linux? I mean, Linux, depending on your distro, is pretty secure out of the box unless you do something to insecure it, make it insecure rather. Most distros don't have a whole lot enabled out of the box. So you can get in trouble by enabling OpenSSH. you know, enabling services that are not enabled. With exception like Kali Linux. There was this kid who was trying to hack my network last week, and he's using the live version of Kali Linux, and he left the OpenSSH login info as default. Like most attackers aren't that smart. Hackers is a kind of a movie term. Most of them are idiots. So I just remoted into his machine and said, "Poof, I'm here. I see what you're doing." And then, without getting too involved in it, I made his day. Okay. Does Linux File Manager? Ooh, okay. There's a package manager on Windows 11 now, and you can add it to Windows 10. Me searching for free hack. If you SHXRPY said, "I was being stupid and was searching for free hacks and think I have a virus. How do I remove it, please?" That's really common whenever you're searching for anything with the word free first. Oftentimes, free applications or even things that have a free version, you can find with just searching the name. But if you add free to the front of even something that's totally legitimate, you're going to get a ton of malware links. So I would say you're definitely infected. I mean, I'm not going to say definitely, but highly likely. I have a video on my channel. Thanks for the sub. I'm going to have several malware removal files, but you can check remove all viruses in my channel. There was one I released a couple months ago, which is the updated Tron script video, and that will set you up. Okay, next on my list, I had a whole thing. That's what I had. Telemetry. Again with the ONO Shutup 10. Oh, I meant to show you stuff in Group Policy Editor. Okay. Chat, you guys have Windows 10 Pro or Home? If you have Home, we're going to take another step first. Okay, if you have Windows 10 Home, you're going to need to do something to unlock some Windows 10 Pro features. I'm going to hook you up. We're going to group, let's see, unlock group policy. I'll get you the link. Windows 10 Home. If you want to follow along with me, you can. The one we're going to use is from itechtics.com. That's the one I want you to use. We'll scroll down here, and we're going to get the GP Edit Enabler for Windows 10. What we're going to do here is the Group Policy Editor lets us have a lot of control over the operating system, and Microsoft has reserved it for Windows 10 Pro Edition and above. However, that's not going to stop us. Okay, open containing folder. We'll go ahead and put it on the desktop. Okay, now this batch file is going to run the deployment image servicing module, which is a feature of Windows, and it's going to literally enable the Group Policy Editor for Windows 10 Home Edition. I'm already on Pro, but this will still work. Okay, I had my internet shut down for like 5 minutes yesterday. I checked ESET, had like 200 blocked devices or something. 3 ports weren't blocked from. Okay, sounds like you're getting DDoSed, Symbol. A real common attack to mess with gamers, especially, is to ping their router. Check if your router is responding to echo ICMP on the WAN. Sorry, I gave you that's a lot of gobbledygook IT jargon, but you'll go into your router. Unfortunately, a lot of consumer routers. Let's see. I don't even know the router default IP address, but I have an enterprise router. Whoops. Okay. If I hit show password, I'd be totally screwed after that. Okay. Okay. This machine's using LastPass. I need to put a Nordvpn on this one. Okay. So when I log into my router and I go into Firewall, and you'll have your own kind of firewall settings and your own kind of different router, but this is an advanced security router. On the WAN, you want to make sure that you don't have echo request. So ICMP, should just put ping. Ping or echo. We're going to drop ICMP. Let's see. Invalid. And to any network. Go to LAN. And I'll have to create another one. And what that would do is add that rule. I'm not going to add this rule because it'd be redundant. But if you are, one quick way is to use your phone. Well, you can't do it on the phone. Be outside your network and try to ping your home IP address. If it responds, then your router is responding to pings on the WAN. What this means is that if I have your IP address, which is not hard to do, which is not hacking, I can send repeated pings to your router, and if your router keeps responding, then it will eventually overheat or run out of RAM and reboot, which is the most common DDoS for a home user. Okay. My game started stuttering after running Tron. Most likely, Shark Puppet, you lost some hardware management software that came with your machine. Like, for example, if it's an Asus, it's Armory Crate. So there's something that's not managing your CPU that was there before. Go to your manufacturer and download whatever hardware management apps like Boost or NVIDIA, AMD, whatever. That's most likely what's going on there. Thanks for your videos, useful content. I've been following you and running Tron script as we speak. Thanks a lot. Your videos, thanks, out of hand, man. I'm glad we could help you. Oh, symbol with DDoS. So let me bring up a picture of a router. So a typical consumer router, it has a certain amount of RAM and it has a CPU in there. It's a little computer. When to DDoS somebody at home, if their router responds to pings on the WAN, which means the WAN is the part of your network that's facing the internet. Your LAN is what everybody's talking on behind the router. Now, a firewall is supposed to intelligently identify what's allowed to go in and pass through the router. But if you just ping a router that responds to ICMP or pings, and you do it over and over and over again, that router is going to get overworked, run out of RAM, or overheat. And these things consumer routers are passively cooled. Now, my router is actively cooled, and also it doesn't respond to that. So I don't expect you guys to get enterprise routers, but this is mine, and it's right back here. And it's actively cooled, so you can't really overwork it. It's gonna just push, and it's got quad cores and 4 gigs of DDR4. But your router on your home router, little Netgear, D-Link, whatever you have, they're gonna have maybe 512 megs of RAM, maybe, and a little dual core ARM processor, or maybe a single core processor, and it's passively cooled, which means it has little vents on it, and when it overheats, it just shuts down. So, okay. Okay, you have an i7 9750 GTX 1650, 20 FPS, 8 gigs of RAM. Virtue, that would be mostly your RAM. 8 gigs of RAM is not really a high FPS configuration. Everything else looks great. But you need 16 gigs of RAM to have a high FPS on GTA 5. Just because GTA 5 is mostly CPU and RAM intensive, I wish you could just dedicate GTA to just suck on the GPU all day. Oh yes, Symbol. TP-Link is notorious. It has port 0 open for some reason. I don't know why. But you can add a firewall rule in TP-Link to block port 0. And also just make sure your firewall settings are set to not respond to ICMP on the WAN. Oh, you know what? You guys can, because you might not know if you have these problems, and you're probably like thinking, I need to check my router settings and look for what the hell I'm talking about. Just check this. You can actually test if you're hackable right from your browser. Just Google search Shields Up. One word, Shields Up. And it's grc.com. This is going to actually scan your machine. And yeah, I'm VPN'd before I reveal my IP. And we'll go to proceed here. And this first test is UPnP, or Universal Plug and Play. It's going to see if your router is going to take requests to instantly automatically change its settings. Like for example, a UPnP router is kind of a cool feature. It's such a risk to have enabled. It means if another device says, hey, I need port 80 opened, it's going to open the port automatically because that app asked it to, so the router just cooperates. So the first thing we're going to do is test it. And it's not going to respond to UPnP. Let's just do it on my main. Okay, Shields up. This is going to test how vulnerable our network and our machine is. If your router is really secure, then it's also going to come back as passed. If your router is not secure, but your machine is secure, it will come with a pass. So basically, this is going to test my machine against probing and vulnerabilities. So we're going to check Insta UPnP. You'll just block port 0 in your firewall settings symbol. Okay, so my router didn't respond to a universal plug and play, which is good. And so now we'll go over to... Can we scroll down? Let's go back. Back. Okay, here we go. Now it's going to see if I have file sharing enabled to the WAN. This is where somebody could literally just dump a file onto your hard drive. It's also going to check if you have a vulnerability on your network. Hey Nico, have you seen Zero Tier better than VPN? I don't mess with obfuscation at the host level. I don't believe in it because I can track you. It's obfuscation is trying to recharacterize your metadata to appear that it's something that it isn't. And it just doesn't hold up to scrutiny. The only thing that really can hold up to scrutiny and advanced algorithms and people really looking is encryption. If I can read it and just say you're lying, then it's not really hidden. Okay, then common ports we can check. This is going to scan me and scan all the most commonly exploited ports. It says I failed. What did I fail? Ping reply. Remember how we talked about ICMP echo requests and how I didn't add the rule? My firewall by default responds to ICP and echo, but not in the way that can be exploited. It's responding to the ping from Ubiquiti. So now we can go back. It's not able to get me on port 139, and it doesn't appear that it exists. So I'm not blocking the port, I'm dropping the communication. Windows 10 LTSC is best Windows version. In some ways, yes. It's good in that it doesn't get feature updates. And a lot of times people don't like feature updates. But if you like feature updates, if you're using Windows 10 Enterprise LTSC, and you're seeing that there's some new feature coming up to See you trying to dox me, dude. I'll show it. So port 139 is commonly used when you're hacking someone's network and you want to identify what every device is. If you have port 139 not stealth, they'll be able to see you're a Windows machine running Windows 7, 8, 10, whatnot. NetBIOS is another part. So this is really good for you to check how vulnerable you are. It said that I'm vulnerable to a DDoS attack, but it's connecting to a VPN IP address. So that just means this server, I mean, I can ping the VPN server I'm on. Any VPN free version, please attest better interconnection with streaming. I don't really mess with free VPNs because they sell your data. VPN, let's get into VPN because VPN is great, but they don't do everything. When you're using a VPN, you're changing the trust from your ISP to the VPN service. I don't trust my ISP because I know they sell my data and they're not about your privacy. They have no reason to. It's not in their interest. So like, why throw away money? But your VPN will do several things. It'll change your IP address so you can hide where you're coming from. It will encrypt your data so that nobody can see what you're doing. But a lot of people don't realize is it doesn't protect you from malware. Now, one of the selling points of Nordvpn is that they use DNSSEC, which is they change your your DNS, your domain name server. This is something you guys ought to do. I keep on coming up with more security stuff, and we are going to get to the group policy. Click on your Wi-Fi or your network adapter, open up network and settings, and then go to change adapter options. Now, changing your DNS server away from the one that comes with your ISP is instrumental for security and privacy. So we are connected here. Right click on your network adapter that's connected, click properties. And then under Internet Protocol version TCP for version 4, click properties. And then you change the DNS server. Now I have a private DNS server, but there's several private DNS servers that are free. Let's see, public DNS servers. I like Quad 9 and Cloudflare, but you can even go to, there's different features you can get. There's Google, which is very fast, obviously. Quad 9 is very fast also. And you change your DNS server to this. What your domain name server is, whenever you click cnn.com, the domain name server knows what IP address that goes to. So it's going to resolve where the heck cnn.com is or where Google is. The faster that is, the quicker that you surf web pages. If you get attacked by something or a website is malicious, something with DNS security on it, like Quad 9, Cloudflare, they have lists of servers that they know are bad, and they won't direct your traffic there. So also, a lot of them will protect your privacy, because the one that comes with your ISP that's on there by default, if you don't touch anything, they're doing it for their own purposes. They're going to make money off that. If you go with Quad 9, for example, or Cloudflare, which is 1.1.1, and then the secondary here, let's go back there. So if I wanted to put Cloudflare at 1.1.1.1 and the secondary 1.0.0.1, then click OK, skadoosh, done. Now I'll be able to surf the web quicker. Now it's not going to affect me because I have my private DNS, which I'll show you that. If you guys don't have a Pi-hole, they're not. Okay. Pi-hole is a DNS server you can make out of a Raspberry Pi for around $60. And in here, I have over 1 million domains blocked, and these domains are malware domains, ad servers, telemetry, or any content I want to block. Anytime there's also queries, there's often servers that will right here, queries. They're going to say, who the heck are you? What are you doing? What cookies do you have? What kind of computer are you on? What browser you use? And then your computer will be like, oh, well, I am Windows 10 and I'm running Firefox and here's my cookies. Well, I block all queries. So this actually, since all ads, malware domains, ads, 41% of my traffic is junk. So my internet speed is very fast compared to when it was, because everything is going through this DNS server. It doesn't get sent to my network. Very cool. Yes, JJC is one of my first viewers, man. And like, I think after my 4th video, he was like, dude, make a Mpael video. Let's see, who needed assistance? Let's see. What's better about Nordvpn than other VPNs? Thanks for the sub. Nordvpn, I wouldn't say one is like the best. There's like 3 that are really good, and Nord's one of them. Because like ExpressVPN has its pros and cons. Why I like NordVPN is, first off, speed, and then second, the ability to use anywhere in the world. So if I need to obfuscate my traffic and go to Germany and I want to watch Netflix in America, and I go to Costa Rica a lot because my wife's from Costa Rica, we will want to watch the Netflix that's in the United States, or we want to watch Hulu, which is, country blocked. So I can obfuscate that. Also, the main thing is that the no logs policy that's been tested. Other companies have too, but NordVPN is located out of Panama, which is, if you want to hide some bad business that you can't be touched by the United States or the Five Eyes, put it in Panama, because no one can touch you there. So they purposely put their jurisdiction in Panama so that nobody could ever raid their servers and force them to comply. And they've never replied to demands from governments and authorities to say, who's this guy and what's he doing? And they're like, and there was even a NordVPN server that got seized, and then they tried to get the logs on it, and then they found out, there's no data because there was no logs. So they even seized a server out of some other country and tried to download the data off it, and there was nothing there about the customer. DK asked how to make your own DNS server. Great question. I actually have a video on my channel. I need to make a better one on how to make a Pi-hole, but you can use a Raspberry Pi. This is a Raspberry Pi 4. I have a couple of them here, which is a single board computer. It's a little tiny computer. It can run Linux, and some people have got it to run Windows, but it doesn't run well. This is a Raspberry Pi 4. This is in a steel case with a CPU cooler on it, because this one's the 8 gig RAM model that I do some crazy stuff with. And literally, this is what it is. It's a single board computer. And this one has 4 gigs of RAM and USB 3.0, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, gigabit Ethernet, and it's powered by USB-C. And you can make a Pi-hole, which is a Linux-based DNS server, and it is like AdBlock on steroids. It's fantastic. And pretty simple to use, and you just keep this sitting next to your router and it works. You guys want to see something cool? A reason that I use a enterprise level router is, and I'll get back into VPN in a minute because this is relevant. This here is my threat management. Now what I have enabled is intrusion protection system and intrusion detection. Let's go to threat management. IPS and IDS is intrusion detection system. This is basically a router level function or a firewall level function that's going to scan all traffic before it routes it to detect if it's malicious, and it uses signatures and also uses other types of behavior based. And I have all of this type of traffic going through the scanner, any type as telnet, malware. So if one of my devices on my network gets infected, it's going to immediately know which one of these devices is infected and who it's trying to talk to. Like this device over here trying to hack this device over here. This is my IoT network. Or if this device is trying to communicate to the server LAN. So got ransomware, huh? Your best bet is to remove the ransomware and then follow my ransomware tutorial. But now, thanks for the sub. Now, IPS and IDS is cool, but it actually doesn't work if you're using VPN because the IPS can't see what you're doing, and that brings me to what VPNs can't do. Now, VPNs are great for stopping people that are in the middle, trying to intercept your data, privacy, internet speed, protecting yourself from DDoS or doxing, but your antivirus actually can't see any of your traffic until it's decrypted onto your hard drive. So a lot of people think that it's going to help them prevent themselves from getting malware. It doesn't do that. So Nordvpn's selling point is that they have DNSSEC, which is a secure DNS like I showed you, which is going to block a lot of malware domains. But when I'm using VPN, oftentimes my antivirus will detect it late. But yeah. Okay. Now that you've ran the, we're going to get back to hardening Windows a bit. We're going to lock down Windows from a lot of the common vulnerabilities. After you've done enabling the group policy editor on Windows 10 Home, or if you already have Pro Edition, hold the Win key plus R, and then type gp edit.msc. And then in here, go to Computer Configuration, Windows Settings, Security Settings, Local Policies, Security Options, and then down here to Domain Controller, allow server operators to schedule tasks. Don't mess with anything else here. You'll break your machine or lock yourself out. But Domain Controller allows server operators to schedule tasks. We're going to disable this. This is going to prevent us from being, if some hacker or malware tried to convince this machine that it was on a domain or a corporate network that they'll claim that they're the server administrator of, they can't run tasks on the machine. Now going back, we're going to go to Administrative Templates, Windows Components, and then we're going to, we can go ahead and disable online assistance. Unless you need assistance from Microsoft Direct at activating a CD key, there's no reason to have this on. To turn off, this is more of an annoyance than a security thing, but I like to do it anyway. Then click Apply, OK. Remote desktop services, obviously. We're going to go into the session host, connections, allow users to connect remotely, disabled. Okay. Now we're going to go down to remote management or WinRM. Go into the service, allow remote server management through WinRM, disabled. Next. Then remote shell. Allow remote shell access, disabled. Next. Those few things there are a major way to lock down your machine from a lot of vulnerabilities. What else you guys got for me? Maybe scroll up and chat a little bit. System is affected, disconnect your network and internet connection quickly. Flag Linux. That is good advice, Harshi Parmar. However, a lot of threats don't really need that. I mean, some can. I mean, if you're hacked, definitely you want to disconnect the machine. What else you guys got? They told me to give me a new Windows and PC. rates, but not decrypt files. Okay, Shark Puppet. Most likely, Tron automatically uninstalled some of your manufacturer's hardware management tools, like Armory Crate for Asus. Just re-download those from your manufacturer. Most likely, there's some kind of boost feature or power control, graphics management, something that basically makes your computer more powerful, controls the hardware. That needs to be running on your machine. Kind of like how I have Armory Crate on this machine, and that controls my CPU boost, my overclock, my graphics performance. Primo Cache. Why have I not heard of that? Caching, accelerate storage. Oh, okay. Accelerate storage. You know, I'm not a fan of messing with stuff that is supposed to be controlled by the onboard controller. SSDs, like for example, there's your SSD controller is the fastest thing you're gonna find controlling the machine. But if you have a slow controller, this is going to add a software management. Basically, you're going to apply your CPU and RAM to the read-write process. I'm not a fan of that because these processes are really managed by the onboard controller, which is also responsible for maintaining the life of your drive. It could be cool, but it'd be better to get a faster SSD with a better controller. I don't like to allocate CPU and RAM to a process that's inherently slow. The exception would be on my NAS server. On my NAS server, I have 10 hard drives. And I have 32 gigs of RAM in that thing. And I have all of the RAM allocated to speeding up the read and write there. But that's its job. It's not supposed to game. But so I have these drives. This is my NAS. And I'm using, this is Xeon processor, 15 usage. So I have 32 gigs total, and only 1 gig is free. All of it is cached for the ZFS file system. But that's because it makes me able to read and write to these two major hard drive pools. But that's what this NAS server is supposed to do. I don't want to set a desktop PC to use the system RAM and CPU to spoot up the read and writes. There's enough of that going on with 100% disk usage going on when you don't want it to, or caching or indexing, which I go over in another video. Okay. Debate. Lin peas. What's that? There's a lot of stuff. Private escalation. I like to avoid too much scripting on the Linux side. I know that's heresy for a lot of the Linux community, but getting into scripting on the Linux side to mod your OS is how you'll get infected. I'm not saying you'll get infected. In fact, most people who do it are fine. But you can't get in trouble not doing that. I mean, I would script on OSs that I needed to change, but I am not a fan of privilege escalation. Privilege escalation is the #1 reason that BIOS updates are done, is to prevent unwanted privilege escalation. Out of everything, there are a few viruses and ransomware that directly affect the hardware ramping. Ah, hardware viruses. Interesting concept. There's a few of them out in the wild. They are still exceptionally rare. LoJack's was a really nice one that I encountered. And what it did was, it infected the SMI flash of motherboards, almost all motherboards. And do you guys want to go into malware research on this? We can go. I mean, you're not going to encounter one. If you did, I would pay you $30,000 to buy your machine because I'm going to make a fortune off finding one. But you know, most people, a lot of people rather, when they get infected and they can't remove it, they're thinking it has to be on the motherboard, and it's just not. It's just so hard to get one. The ones that are out there that work are so expensive to make, they don't want to waste them on you. You're just not that, you're not that interesting. They'll waste them on a major corporation because if they use them, they're going to get detected eventually, and then they're not going to work anymore. And these things are made by, you know, nation state hack teams. Ah, excellent. Thank you. I almost forgot. Let me show you. This was made by another content creator named Chris Titus, who I follow. You should check him out. If you right click on the start and open up PowerShell as admin, and if you paste the string that's in description, I forgot that. You're going to pull up this debloat script and also a setup script. And you can install the Brave browser, Firefox, kind of like what we did with Night Night, with a few things here. 7-zip, VLC, Notepad++. But the cool thing is that you can apply the essential tweaks, which is going to do the O&O Setup 10 recommended settings that we did. You can disable Action Center like I did over here. There's no pop-up of Action Center with stuff like that. You can disable Cortana, which I've already done. If you see down here, no Cortana. Enable dark mode. You can uninstall OneDrive. You can remove all the Microsoft Store apps if you don't want them. And then you can also undo anything here. Another thing you can do is you can change the Windows Update features. If you have Windows 10 Home or Pro and you haven't tweaked it, but Windows 10 Home Edition, you can't delay feature updates. So if there's a feature update, surprise, time to update. When you reboot, you're getting a new version of Windows and there's nothing you can do about it. Security updates only means you're going to get all the security updates whenever they come out, so there's no problem there, but you're not going to get forced to get the new build of Windows just because Microsoft says, hey, it's out, surprise, because 9 times out of 10, the feature update has broken things, and they're annoying until they fix them. Microsoft's going to use you as a guinea pig until they're ready with it, and then they'll fix it with a patch maybe in a couple weeks. So I usually delay feature updates for a year sometimes because I'm just not interested in getting the feature update. A lot of people got really irritated with that news feature, which was called, is it here? Is it here? Well, there was this thing with the weather and news up here that you couldn't get rid of. And you could disable it in here, but that was a feature update people didn't like. But that's what that string is. Derek Hodgson says, when I use auto runs, the virus total never shows up. Any idea? Yes, they just really did me a solid recently. The new version has some kind of issue with it. So if you go to my description on that webpage, let's see. I got the old version on there now. So if we go to, is the virus really gone? Go ahead and go here. Okay, in the description, oh no, let's see, 13.1. And then, yeah, so the 13.1 works. Let me pull up that. I think it's on my regular machine. Okay. Auto runs 13.1. 13.1 will work, but for some reason, it's right here. But if you look at the new one doesn't have it, and that's what he's talking about. See, there's nothing over here now. So this is 14.0. 13.1 is over here, and it still works. So just use the one in the description. And I'm sorry about that. Right after I released that video, some knucklehead decided to update the code with a new version, and it's having some kind of communication issue with virustotal.com. Oh, thanks, Shark Bucket. Okay. How do I figure out what software I need to install on my PC? Are you talking about like your manufacturer software? I would go to your website, your manufacturer. So if you're going to go to Asus, you would put in your manufacturer. So if it's HP or Acer or whoever, or even MSI, motherboard drivers, and just get the software that comes with your. Okay. Well, if you have an MSI, then go to Support Center, search for drivers. And then you'll put your product line, so it'd be a motherboard, and then whatever type it is, and then whatever model it is, and then you'll find there's utilities, and then there's the fast boot, there's the drivers, and different features of it. So depending on your model, a lot of different things, and more than likely Tron deleted some stuff that are helpful to your performance. Like I said, Tron is a crisis response tool. I mean, I don't say like, hey, nice machine, run Tron. No, it's if you are in a malware crisis. Mana, yes it is. I am not a fan of telemetry. In ONO Shut Up 10, you can get rid of telemetry. Also, I showed you how to block it in the host file. But there's actually a part in here cover disable telemetry. Very cool. What else you guys got? I could just do a system restore because Tron found no virus. Yeah, you can, Shark. Absolutely. That is why it's there, buddy. And then you could just perform manual debloats, or there's a debloat. There's a lot of videos on my channel which can help you get the performance benefits of Tron without the, the slam you get from running Tron on a machine that's not infected. How much would it cost to hire hackers to surveil you 24/7 with remote control access over your device for how many days? That's an interesting question. It really depends. 40 days? Gosh, that would be like 30 grand. For manual surveillance? I mean, they're on Darknet, but that's some cloak and dagger, low down dirty stuff, man. But yeah, there's hacker hits for sale on Darknet. Someone could pull a hacker net. That's why I'm so big on security is, I mean, for 40 days of hiring somebody with, advanced level skills to mess with somebody, first off, that's a felony. And second of all, that's very expensive because you're hiring a professional hacker to mess with somebody. Very dangerous business getting into that. They could just as easily go after you. Plus, there's murderers and all kinds of bad people in those areas. Noob says, is Tron safe? Yes, it is. It's a technician tool. You're probably asking that because you haven't seen my more updated video. Do I do sponsorships? Do I accept sponsorships? I do sponsor a Twitch streamer at the moment, Purple PC. Do I accept sponsorships? Yes, I do. That is how YouTubers eat. I prefer affiliate options. That way, like for example, I'm not sponsored by NordVPN. I'm an affiliate, so I make money off of people who use my link. DarkTick2K says, "Hey Nico, how do you hide your IP? Use a VPN. If you want to hide it good, use a paid VPN, such as NordVPN." See, affiliate. Now, if you're sponsored by somebody, they're going to be like, Today, I'd like to tell you about this great company that just sponsored this video. Thanks for sponsoring this video. You can get great deals by going to blah, 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 blah. That's a sponsorship. Affiliate is, by the way, use my link in the description. It helps me out, and it helps you out. Norton, not a fan of right now. Bitdefender is okay. I mean, they win a lot of awards. I'm just not a fan of their ransomware protection. Everything else is good. F-Secure is cool, but I wouldn't use it as my only go-to. Mcafee, yeah, we talked about Mcafee earlier. Their enterprise products are good. The DoD uses them, but their consumer products aren't that great. Kaspersky is fantastic, and I am an affiliate. Use link in description. They are fantastic. And if it's Kerpog asks, and I ran auto runs, and there's basically something that's missing, so it's in yellow. All that means is that there's a registry key for something that's no longer there. So CCleaner would delete it. You can ignore it. How to disable unwanted 10 services? Interesting question. Go to Windows key plus R and type services. Whoops, I need to put MSC. Okay, and here are your services. Now you can change status to which one's running, and you can disable them. Now you want to check what you're disabling because you can make things not work right. One thing that I like to stop while we're here is the background intelligent transfer service. The bit service is literally when you download a Windows update, Windows Update will tell you that this is to optimize or speed up your Windows updates. That's nonsense. What it is when you're done downloading your Windows Update, you're going to be uploading it to random people on the internet to save Microsoft Windows, or Microsoft rather, bandwidth. You're going to be a file server for them, and everybody is opt-in by default. You can switch to manual and then click stop, or you can switch it to disabled and click stop, and then click apply, and you disable the bit service, and you're no longer opted in to being a file server for Microsoft Windows updates. And the update area of Windows will say like, well, some of this is managed by your organization. What's wrong? What are you doing? There's nothing wrong. I am the administrator. I am the organization. So if I go into update, look, some settings are managed by your organization. Who's the organization? I am the organization. And I said, I'm not participating in the bits process. Black Viper's service disabled. I'm not a fan of third-party applications for services like that. Because I can do it myself. Why do I need help with that? But if I have not used it, if it tells you what the service is, fine. But I mean, you can get in trouble with services that you don't need. Plus, the tools that I showed you today automatically will disable services associated with those features. Okay, what's the difference if you have all of them on or off? If you have all the services off, your machine's not going to work. Which is my preference before Linux or Mac? I would say Linux. Linux is more advanced. There's more options for customization. If I go to Mac, I'm going to get whatever Mac made. Also, Apple has a lot of rules. Their rules is part of their security. You can't do certain things, and there's nothing you can do about it because Apple says no. And Linux, I can do what I want, and it's secure. And you can game on Linux. Mac OS gaming is pretty limited. Is Windows 11 good for FPS in games? Not at the moment, actually. It's slightly less, slightly. Because of the core scheduling of Windows 11, it's trying to distribute the tasks evenly amongst the cores, which in theory is better for overall performance. However, most games depend on single core performance. For example, if I was to compare a Ryzen 3 processor or an i3 processor against a state-of-the-art Threadripper from AMD, the i3 is going to outperform it because it has better single core performance than a Threadripper. The Threadripper just has tons of cores. So in a server environment, Threadripper would blow it out of the water. In a gaming, maybe even a single core processor might outperform a Threadripper. Probably not, but I mean, if we made a new single core processor. Kurtbug, you're a lifesaver. A couple months ago, my laptop got infected badly and almost had a mental breakdown. Your video saved my laptop. I'm glad, Kurtbug. Yeah, virus infection is extremely stressful. I've been nuts before when I spent 6 months trying to resolve a UEFI firmware rootkit. Well, I get the best. Okay. Number of cores in MS config? Yes. Excellent question. One of the viewers mentioned MS config's number of cores. We'll go ahead and do that. If you hit Windows key plus R, MS config, and then hit enter. If you go into the boot section and then advanced options, you'll see number of processors here. If you leave it unchecked, your computer is going to do what the default for your motherboard is. However, if this is checked and it says 1, then you're limiting the number of core processors and cores of the boot up to 1. Now, if you have this set to 4, don't be surprised if you get about 50% or less performance because you're limiting the number of cores available to the machine. I'm going to leave this at where it was, and I'm going to let my motherboard BIOS settings dictate what I'm doing here. But if this is limited to 1, you're going to get single core performance. However, you might ask yourself, why the heck would they put this here if there's nothing good about it? Well, in the case of firmware rootkits and droppers and MBR rootkits, things that persist through like a reset or even survive being reinstalled Windows, usually they're doing what's called a core race. You have secure boot going up, which is saying no bad bootloaders can come into Windows during boot up or install. Well, under another core, the malware sent another process to beat it and say disable secure boot. So on the very advanced level of breaches, being able to limit the number of cores that can boot up is used for manual security purposes. Or if you had a Threadripper and you wanted to limit, you don't want 36 processes going up. But in this case, you can just leave this alone. If you want, you can put it at the max. But usually your motherboard's pretty good about this. Excellent question. Fantastic. Got some advanced users today. Out of Hand says, which Linux distro do you prefer, Nico? Linux distributions, for those of you who don't know, is the types, the versions of Linux. And there's hundreds, if not thousands. So when someone says use Linux, well, which Linux? And they're usually built on top of 4 different types. My favorite is, right now, is Pop! OS. And if you go to distrowatch.com, you can see all of the most popular ones being used right now. Mint is very popular. You've probably heard of Ubuntu. Debian is actually the stock type of Linux that Ubuntu and Pop and Mint are on top of. And Pop! OS, the reason I like Pop! OS, several reasons. First off, System76 actually manufactures machines, and so there's money going into this operating system, and they make high-end laptops built for their Linux. And Pop! OS actually has a dedicated OS specifically for NVIDIA drivers. So if you want to game on Linux, Pop! OS is the no-brainer way to go. There's just, why would you use another version of Linux when this one's the best one for gaming on NVIDIA cards? So right now, Pop! OS is my favorite. I also do like Parrot for a lot of my work in malware researcher and pen testing. And I like Mint too. It really depends. I mean, I would say like Kali Linux, but Kali Linux doesn't work on all my hardware. Derek Hodgson says, my thoughts on WebRoot. I like WebRoot. I used WebRoot for a good 8 years. I use Secure Anywhere. They're pretty good. I wouldn't say they're the best out there, but if I had a shelf with Norton, Mcafee, Trend Micro, Avast, and AVG, I would say WebRoot's the best out of them. And they're pretty good. They don't slow down the system. They are reasonably good at detections. They're reasonably good at real-time protection. I particularly like them because you can get adware pop-ups through your browser and they'll intercept that kind of stuff. But they're There's only a couple out there that I would say this one will be good and you won't get infected. Like your likelihood of infection is very low. Webroot is almost there. Kaspersky and ESET I think are better. Could you show us how to detect rats and keyloggers? Yes. There are two tools that I specifically use for rootkits, and that would be TDSS Killer would be for rootkits. And you can get it straight here from Kaspersky. This is a free standalone tool that just detects rootkits. And it's right here. And I've done a couple tutorials that involve TDSS Killer. Now this is not the only rootkit detector I use, but this one is probably the most powerful. I always do use it. If I detect it with TDSS Killer, I know I don't have to check anything else. Then here, what I'll do is I'll load all the modules. It will require a reboot, verify file signatures. I'm not going to do this today. And then start a scan. And it's really quick. It's going to check your BIOS for any threats. So it will detect UEFI firmware rootkit. Not as good as ESET, but Kaspersky doesn't scan for it yet, but they do in TDSS Killer. A friend of mine recently got infected with Great Discover and Idle Buddy, was trying to pirate a game. Do you know how to remove it? Yeah, I actually have an Idle Buddy dedicated removal tutorial on my channel, which will also remove Great Discover. Okay, it found PC panel. We're going to skip that, because that's my thing there. That's TDSS Killer. Now, the other was keyloggers and rats. For that one, I really like Hitman Pro and Rogue Killer. Check my most recent video on advanced malware removal that will talk to you all about Hitman Pro. I'll show you Rogue Killer. It's by Atlas. I'm not going to install and run this one today, but these guys are really good. You'll do a these guys are really good at detecting rogues, which is fake, programs. It's actually in my recent my Idle Buddy removal video. But this one will detect rats really well. It uses a lot of heuristic base. You can enable the driver during the scan. It's fantastic. It's not great for everything, but it is good for that specifically, since you're asking me a tool to remove that specific type of threat. One last question. How about Tron? Where does it save the log? Shaban Garat says, where is the logs for Tron? They're in C:/logs. Taskbar, concentrating the taskbar. Taskback X. Sounds like a rogue. Attack hardware viruses. A firmware infection will be detected by TDSS Killer or Kaspersky's. Also ESET. But if you detect it, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. The best thing you could do is reflash your BIOS. I can show you how to manually look at the code, but I'm really worried that you guys will turn your machine into a paperweight if I show you that tool. So you click the wrong thing and change one thing, you're rewriting your BIOS. And it's actually how the hackers do it. Lost some Windows system files with Tron script, restore, fix that. Yeah, Flynn, but let me show you a quick tip on how to do that for yourself. Just open out command.exe or in the search, CMD, run as administrator, and type sfc /scan now, the system file checker, which is basically what Tron's going to do at the end of the scan. Excellent question. What else we got, guys? Yeah, after this scan is done, this is basically scanning all of the System32, your system files, and if it finds corruption, it's going to try and automatically fix it. And then if it finds corruption, you can reboot the machine and it'll be ready to go. Stinger looks for one particular type of rootkit that everybody else misses. So it's really good for one thing. Sure. how to use recommended settings for ONO Setup 10? Absolutely. Let me open it up again. Where'd it go? Oh, it's over here. In ONO Setup 10, you'll just go up to Actions, and then apply only recommended settings. And then close it, and then restart your machine. And that is it. You're welcome, Flynn, anytime. Okay. You're welcome, Ash, anytime, buddy. You guys are great. Your task manager startup is empty. It sounds like you need to run an SFC, Amatosh, like I was just showing. And usually the task manager being blank is usually due to system file corruption. Kerpog asks us a funny question. Would it be possible to make a virus for a graphing calculator? Yeah, why not? I mean, the coding language and the engine that it runs on would be interesting to see if that would work. I mean, you could run malicious code on pretty much anything. Unhao says, what did I do in the Navy? Rate-wise, I was a boatswain's mate. Bet you didn't see that coming. Okay, Windows Resource Protection did not find any integrity violations. If it said it did find them and it fixed them, you could reboot. If it says that it didn't find them, you'll need to reinstall Windows. But you can check my video, my channel on, I think it's PC Shops Hate Me. Aviation Ordnance, we got an Airedale in here? No, man, you know, I did strike for IT, but I just couldn't stand the politics. Plus, I joined the Navy to try and be a badass as much as I could, so I wanted to do military type stuff. I wanted to do Navy things. I was playing on my computers before I graduated high school even. I was like, when I joined the Navy, I was going to do something else. So, are you a CT? For those of you guys don't know, we're talking Navy jargon. My shipmate over here is a CT. It's a cryptologic technician. So he's the spook version of Twidget. He's an IT that is an expert on cryptology and politics. This is very bureaucratic in their field. Do I use Proxmox? Yes, I do. I'm running it on my virtualization server right here. And I like it a lot. I mean, I prefer, I prefer vSphere, but I just don't want to pay for it. And they haven't agreed to sponsor me yet. Oh, you went back in? Well, it wouldn't be surprising, especially if you did it in like the past 10 years, because the economy went to garbage. So I got out in the Navy in like right before 2004. The economy was great. Then 2006, like what the heck happened? So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of guys went back in like I never should have got out. How was my Navy experience? It was good and bad. I mean, you focus on the good things, but service is service. And also it was not during the best time in our country. My virtual server, I am running a quad-core 8-thread Xeon processor, 32 gigs of registered DDR3, dual SSDs, and I have it iSCSI'd out to my NAS, and dual Intel NICs. My laptop is a lot slower than it used to be. What are the possible reasons for this? Entirely. Check thermals and also follow my performance-based videos would be the best thing I would do. I mean, I would think it's degrading if you have a hard disk drive. I mean, I wouldn't just say that. I mean, most hardware doesn't degrade like that. Unless you're having thermal issues, and that could be fixed. When we connect over YouTube, you and other security research videos help to resolve the problem. Keep it up. Also, sharing your videos on my blog. Well, thanks, dude. I'm trying. And he said I'm getting communication block message about multicast DNS request. Pretty sure I'm overrid the port blocking. 5355 necessary to block. I mean, 5355 is a multicast DNS. It probably means that you have a really advanced network with a switch. Because multicast allows multiple layers of LAN to talk to each other. Can you tell me when I play a game, my mouse cursor feels slow movement on high graphics? Mostly that's low frame rate. So there's a lot of things you can do to increase frame rate. And AshFN's right, checking your thermal paste, especially if it's been a while. Yeah, I mean, if you have a high performance laptop that runs hot because it's high performance and it's several years old, most likely it needs to thermal paste, which is kind of a challenge for somebody who doesn't know how to disassemble a laptop. You want to make sure that you have a professional do it or that you know what you're doing. My buddy runs a channel, Ask Your Computer Guy, Scott over there. I'm going to ask him to make a video on disassembling a laptop. I mean, I could do it. It's just, that's not the direction my channel is going right now. Fiki bro, yes, I have used Night Night. That was actually the first thing we did on this live stream. Good question. I use Night Night maybe, I mean, usually if I'm customizing a laptop to have more than what's in the in this script right here. But yeah, I use Night Night. I stopped using Night Night last year for a while because I thought that it was corrupted, but it actually was WinRAR was compromised. Great questions today. Kerpog says, could dust inside your system make it slower? Technically, because if you have bad thermals, then your CPU is not going to cool correctly and it's going to throttle and lower its speed. What's the name of the bloatware thing I just did? BC Uninstaller. Link is in description. Or are you talking about this one? This is a debloat script by Chris Titus. The string is in description as well. Just paste it into PowerShell as administrator. Yep. Hanhao says TrueNAS on a Pi, or you build your own server for it. TrueNAS is a BSD based OS, which is very hardware specific. So I don't think you can. I mean, probably someone's figured out how to do it. It just wouldn't make sense if it did work to run it on a Pi. No, I'm running it on a Supermicro server board I got off eBay for $40 with a quad-core 8-thread Xeon processor, 32 gigs of registered DDR3, and then an HBA card for 8 hard drives, 10 hard drives. Shark Bucket wants me to run deadly viruses and show how to remove them. I do some internal tests on the VMs with my staff, and I do that, and I can do that for probably my patrons. But my channel is, I don't like to bandwagon or copy content. There's other content creators that are doing exclusively that, and I don't want to just hop on board with that. It's not the direction my channel is going, even though that is something I do regularly. What's up, Rogue Status? Good to see you, bro. I'm doing well. I am coming out of my shell a bit for a live stream because comments have been popping off. Figured I needed to address everybody. Do I recommend a cache cleaner? Not really. I mean, if you're hurting for space, maybe. I mean, CCleaner is up there. I mean, it's kind of controversial because a lot of people don't like CCleaner. I don't like some of what CCleaner does, but cleaning the cache, it's just a temporary fix. It's just going to fill up again. It's something that's designed to fill up, and then it gets auto-deleted over time. I might do some VMware testing or VM testing of some malware just to show people how to properly, isolate VMs from the host, because a lot of people will just watch other channels seeing them do it, then they try it themselves and wonder how their host machine got infected through the VM. Is there a way to automate PowerShell commands? Yes, through a script. Batch script would be a good way. PowerShell scripts, PS1s. Just an info, few Seagate hard drives come with data recovery, but those only implement on damage over manufacturing defects. That is correct. Zook asks, do I use VPN on my router? No, I use a VPN server sometimes. I have one running now. And I'll run a VPN server off of either a mini PC or a Raspberry Pi, or as a container in a VM. Really depends. Guys are goofy. Ash asked me if I personally use CCleaner. No. There's two schools of thought on registry cleaning. I am with the school of thought that says don't mess with it. There's just not there's not any kind of benefit that anyone can substantiate or prove to cleaning their registry. The only time I'll mess with the registry is when I specifically want to change something or remove something. But I don't see the benefit of cleaning with CCleaner. And I don't clean my temp files most of the time with a third-party cleaner. Amatosh says how to decrypt Mpael virus encrypted file. MCSoft can't decrypt. If it's an online key, you have to try Shadow Explorer. And if that doesn't work, there's not a solution for you at the moment. I apologize. If I had a $100,000 super server, I would decrypt stuff for you guys, but I just don't have the funds. But hey, you want to donate and pay for it, fine. I'll make it happen for you. Purple PC in the house. Welcome to the stream, buddy. We sponsor this kid. He's a great content creator on the Twitch platform, an up-and-coming gamer. If you like Roblox and Rust and genuine good times, check out Twitch TV/PurplePC, one of our NKT network affiliates. Underrated YouTuber, by the way. Oh, thanks, Ash. Better be underrated than... I'd rather be underrated than overrated. Not gonna name names. What you up to today, Purple PC? What's new in the world of Roblox? Airpox says, this is the best community on YouTube for sure. Wow, that is high praise. Hope we live up to it. How does a VM affect a real PC? Well, a VM is a virtualization feature that will allow you to split up the cores on your processor temporarily and divide your hardware to run another computer virtually on top of your machine. How it affects it? Well, if you have 4 gigs of RAM and 4 cores and you give 2 cores and 2 gigs of RAM, well, then half your machine is running that operating system on top of it. And the benefit is that you can run another operating system on it and run tests and whatnot. Problem is some people will do malware testing on top of their machine, like for example, running on Windows, and they don't know how to properly isolate this stuff, and a lot of malware knows how to cross from VM to host. Pro PC says, just got done with an interview with a VR YouTuber. His name is, sadly, it's Bradley, so that was pretty interesting. Cool, cool. Is that on your channel today? How to isolate or whatever it's called. That is a lengthy video that I'm working on. but I recommend doing it on a VM server. See, VM servers running Proxmox or vSphere and dedicated servers that are designed to run VMs, these will have a lot better containment of a VM because that's what they're designed to do. Running it on top of Windows is designed to be easy to use. If it's easy to use, it's easy to exploit. Cool, cool, Purple PC. Look forward to your content. WinArrow Tweaker. That is, you know, customizing Windows is a fun thing. I think it's a lot of RAM. But, you know, using your system resources to make your experience enjoyable is what Windows is all about. So more power to you. Holy smokes. I don't know how much that is, but thank you, dude. You impressed with your knowledge? Greetings from Sweden. Well, greetings from Texas, Sweden. How's the weather up there? Nico, currently Twitch is getting hit by a hacker. He is creating tons of bots account. Is that Haas dude that they're tracking? There's a Haas hacker that's bot attacking streamers that I'm tracking. Okay. Yeah, we're working on it, Purple PC. We are working on it. We're gonna find him. We'll find him. You don't want that. You don't want that. Okay. Hey man, speak for yourself. I may be easy to use. It's a gift, but exploit me. You will not. Is that a challenge? I'm glad. I admire people who know how to lock down their stuff. He's targeting streamers like me. I had to shut down a stream on Friday because of it. Purple PC, turn on sub-only chat and roll ads and make money off those hate raiders. Purple PC is bringing up an issue that's going on Twitch. There is a hack team which has unsuccessfully DDoSed the platform to extort money out of Twitch, so has instead tried to kill experience by targeting streamers, by dumping a raid into a channel and doing an IP sniff to threaten the users with doxing and DDoS and other things like that, and to destroy the experience of the stream. What I recommend people to do is they go to intermission and explain what's happening while the mods can get control of the channel, roll ads and make money off of the raiders, and switch to subscriber only chat until the moderators can take control of the stream. That or use a real streaming platform like YouTube. Okay. Don't worry, Ash, you won't be popular. We'll make sure. Looking for a gaming router. Any suggestions? Yes, don't get a gaming router. I'm just kidding. A router that's high performing would be, look at the specs. Look at the processor on it. Look at the RAM on it. And look at the MIMO, the multiple inputs and multiple outputs. The more inputs and outputs something has, the more pathways for that data can go across. There's some marketing garbage that goes on in router marketing that says it'll have this amount of speed or gigabit or this megabits of speed. That is combining what everybody can send. If you have 50 devices all communicating at 1 megabit, that's 50 megabits. Doesn't mean everybody gets it, for example. So different routers are designed for different types of use cases. So if you have 50 devices on your network, then you need a beefy router. If you're using a little tiny Netgear router with one antenna on it, then having more than 5 devices is going to overload the router. I'm not a fan of Netgear of consumer routers out there, but I know some are good, but they're expensive. I mean, gaming routers that are designed to do what they say are little plastic alien things that can cause that cost around $300. $300, you can get yourself a real enterprise level router like what I have that will outperform anything at Best Buy. But they're not as easy to use. So simple setup and things like that. There's some high-end Asus and Netgear routers, but don't believe any of that intrusion detection, hacker defense stuff, it doesn't work. If you're buying it at Best Buy, you're not buying a hacker defense thing. Nothing consumer is. You make a video on Trojans, worms, signatures, keyloggers, and basic guide to understand them individually. A series maybe. Excellent idea. I've been thinking about that, and I will do it for you, buddy. Okay. Can you rewind the live stream to check? I think you can rewind it after it stops. You might be able to do it now. I don't know. Okay. Nani, that was a bit of a smart-ass bravado and bluster in a virtual environment. May as well be a babe in the woods. Alright, if there's babes in the woods, I'm going lumberjacking. Bring down our process and task manager. Okay, great. The things that we've talked about today will reduce the number of processes, especially if you check my channel. There is the debloat Windows 10 for max FPS. That one will do it. Don't worry about it, Purple PC. I appreciate it nonetheless. What's the best way to remove viruses? The best way during an infection is Tron script, in my opinion, for the non-IT, because it's going to perform a lot of IT functions. Oh, don't worry, guys. I mean, I appreciate the donations, but I do these streams for you guys. I'm not running a fundraiser to pay for child support or anything like that. You guys watch those Twitch streamers that are like, they'll put this goal like $500 till you pay for my kids. Like, you know. But I know some guys are. If you make good content, I don't care. Ask for money. I just started Python programming class. Any suggestion from you for the best feature? Not really. I mean, it'd be kind of like saying I'm going to be a painter. What should I paint? Let your artistic side flourish, my friend. Ash is right. Tron does have a lot of stuff. It does a lot of things. Pretty much everything you need to do if you're in a malware crisis. Make sure you guys are using my most recent link and my most recent video on that, because I've updated a lot. What's going on in the world with everybody? I'll take some questions before we end the streak. Am I safe to run programs, not malware, registry edits and that stuff on the VM, but not on? Yeah, of course. You can destroy a VM as much as you want. That's the benefit of having a VM. You can just break it. In our community, we destroy VMs all day. Like, hey, let's see what this does. Or you know what happens if you delete System 32? Here's what happens. Absolutely. It's virtual. Doesn't really exist. Which reminds me, I took the print spooler service seriously and decent. Actually, it is patched. I need to do an update on that. You can re-enable print spooler. Excellent question. Hey Nico, what VM do you use? I never really tried it. I use VirtualBox because it's free. I think VMware Workstation Pro is better, but I don't like to recommend VMware Workstation Pro because a lot of people will just leave the remote access enabled by default and then get their VMs hacked. But yeah, VirtualBox is fantastic, especially for running it on a desktop environment. On a VM server, vSphere is great, but I prefer Proxmox just because it's free, open source, and it's on top of Linux. Great stuff. I like that we're getting either my viewers are more advanced or they're getting advanced because of the content, which I'm very proud of. Anyone can do it. Has it been 2 hours? I don't even remember when I started. Has it been 2 hours, chat? We check Streamlabs. Does it show me? Wow. And this is work. I don't know how you Twitch streamers can do this every day. Wow. I need to have more stuff prepped. I thought I had a lot of stuff, but I'm actually out of it. So now we're doing Q&A. What you guys got for me? I wouldn't be surprised. You know, there are some COVID-19 stuff. Let's make this. Pro PC, that's why you love streaming? Wouldn't be surprised, man. You're a streaming addict. You got a problem, man. We need to talk. My background, AOL 3.0. Ah, man, I was on AOL 3.0 back in like 96, and I was one of those dudes knocking people offline for talking smack by using AOL 2.0 because it was faster. Pro PC, you were on a 12-hour stream playing Rust? Gosh, how do you guys do 12-hour streams? You got a problem. Talk to somebody. Reach out. I'd Rust all night. Talk to your parents, man. Seriously. This kid needs sunlight. If you had one program you'd recommend for security, what would it be? Kaspersky Internet Security. Get the link in the description and get a great deal on security for yourself and your family. If I could pick two, also Nordvpn. Take back your security with a reliable VPN. This is Nika Knows Tech, and I support this message. God bless you. God bless America. Yeah, I can put a few hours into Rust, but I would never stream. I mean, I'm all talk, but when I play Rust, and I play with Purple PC on his streams, or as a guest on other streamers, and I'm quiet. I'm like, yep, bad guy over there. That's me gaming. I'm focused. Rose punting, room breaker. Yeah, dude. I was all about that God punter. I was actually part of like a Wares distribution group too. I was bad, dude. I was getting banned on AOL every day. It's okay, I had a new account every day. AOL was actually how ironic, but I got grouped up with hacknet.com agency network when I started joining a hacker group in the late 90s and early 2000s. Met my contacts there through AOL, ironically. Have I tried downloading RAM? No. Because I'm not a moron. Ripson asks, Nika Knows Tag, do you have any older computers? You make it sound like, do I date older women? Yeah, I do. My NAS server is like a 2006 motherboard. I mean, and then I have a bunch of like old stuff. My servers, I never buy new. I always buy eBay motherboards and hope they work, because it's cheaper to buy a $40 Xeon processor with a server motherboard that's fantastic for $40 rather than $380 for the motherboard and another $300 for the processor and $180 for the RAM. And specs for my first PC was a 386 and no hard drive and a floppy disk. I'm an 80s boy, man. Later, Purple PC. Yeah, Purple PC was here when I got my first 1K subs. You know, I always wanted a Commodore because they played games so much better than my floppy disk PC. Awesome, Delta. Thanks for the sub. Oh, thanks, guys. You're too kind. All right, last questions before we wrap up, because I got content to make. Oh, good Lord, Rogue. I remember having to redial for dial-up because I was connecting at 12 bps and I wanted to get 14 or close to 28. And then when we got a 56k bps modem, none of the phone lines would take it. Zook asks, was I in the army? No. I was too smart. Kidding. I love my army, guys. No, I was in the United States Navy. Not the wet Air Force. Best way to monitor QoS from your ISP? I mean, well, you could sit on your WAN with Wireshark, but all you can really do is do a speed test periodically while streaming different types of content. But I just don't mess with it anymore. After I verified that it was going on like 10 years ago, I just started using VPNs. What browser should I use? Is Google Chrome even safe? I use a modified Firefox or Brave. Vivaldi's good too, but I don't like the interface. I don't use Google Chrome, even though Google/YouTube is the greatest company to ever exist, and I am proud to be a YouTube partner. Use Google Chrome, but it's not my favorite for certain reasons, such as privacy. If you use Brave, it's based on Chrome, and it runs everything that Chrome runs, apps, everything. But another thing you guys should do, pro tip while we're here, in a browser, whether it's Chrome, Brave, anybody, go into your settings. I'll show you on Firefox. And then there's something you need to uncheck. There's performance setting or hardware acceleration. Don't enable hardware acceleration on a browser. You're going to basically quadruple the RAM and CPU usage of every tab. This only makes sense if you have an older PC that is just not ready to run browsers. And if it's not ready to run browsers, you know, run it on a scaled down version of Linux. Don't put Windows on it. Shabam Garat, is the power settings you showed good for gaming laptops? Yes, for the purpose of disabling boosting, because laptops don't do well when they get too hot, and they perform better when they're cool. So disabling that feature doesn't lower your clock speed, it just reduces the amount of bursting on the clock speed it does, which doesn't benefit a whole lot. What are the standard things you should learn if you're going to search through your files for malware? If you don't integrally, that's not the best word. If you don't really know what all of the files are and what they do, then you best use a scanner, because you're not going to be able to make sense of it. For example, SVCH host often terrifies people, but it's just a function of Windows. This just means it's communicating. But you might think, what's SVCH host? Is it malware? You can't, because the malware is injecting a DLL to make this thing do something. So any type of file that's communicating on the internet is injecting a DLL into SVCH host to make that program do something, to communicate in some fashion. So you're just going to be looking at whatever name DLL, which doesn't mean anything because they can change. There'll be different names every time. Thanks again, Nico. You're a real one, man. Catch you next time. You're a real man. Thanks for showing up to the screen. What's happening? Am I having a stroke? Thanks for coming, bro. What are the standard things you should learn if you're going to search through your files? Okay, I already answered that one. Auto runs is a good one. Check the is the virus really gone? That'll show you how to use auto runs. I mean, there's some malware research tools, but they just won't make sense to a lot of people. But I'll go into another video on malware research and tools to do that. All right, last question before we wrap up the stream, guys. You guys are great, by the way. Process Lasso. So many names. I don't. Automation optimization. Okay. Looks cool. Oh, okay. These guys want me to do a video. Nope, haven't used it. A buddy of mine that is a system admin, server admin, uses it. I haven't used it yet. A good one though. I'm gonna take a look at it. Maybe I'll hit them up and say, hey dude, sponsor the video. I'm about to talk about your stuff. Okay. You're awesome, Rogue Status. Dig the name too. Is that a Call of Duty thing? You stole that from Rogue Spear. I know you know what game I'm talking about too. Alright guys. If you don't have one more question, then I'm gonna end the stream and I will see you next time. Thanks a lot, guys. You guys made this stream fantastic. Thanks, guys. You guys are awesome. See you later. See you in the comments. And follow me on Twitter, Instagram, because I've got a lot of stuff coming out there. Want to get the social media going a little bit stronger. And I really appreciate it. And stay tuned, because in the next couple of days, got some great content. Gonna be reviewing some cool headphones, and some more pro tools will be coming out. And it's gonna be great.